Once upon a time, in a land far, far away, there lived a man. And his name was Prokofiev Alright, why are we playing this music? Prokofiev didn't write that. Could you please stop playing that? Thanks. If you're like me, you probably first heard about Prokofiev from Peter and the Wolf. That's an example of program music, which means music that's intended to tell a story. We would always watch a Disney version of that story in my music class in elementary school. Maybe you've seen this before?
In the musical score of Peter and the Wolf, each character is represented by a corresponding instrument in the orchestra. Peter by the string quartet. The bird, whose name is Sasha, by a flute, way up high.
So for a while after that, I just thought of Prokofiev as that Peter and the Wolf guy. But once I started to hear more of his music, I realized he's not just some one-hit wonder. There's tons of other great stuff out there that he wrote. One thing that and I think many other musicians like about Prokofiev is how unique and interesting his melodies are. In fact, the 5 greatest melodies ever were all written by Prokofiev. What a coincidence, right? Oh, sorry, I guess the number's more like infinity. I guess they don't sound so great when they're all played at the same time like that. One thing that makes these melodies sound so unique and interesting is that he likes to modulate in the middle of a melody. That just means he changes keys. It's pretty hard to make that work in the middle of a melody. Here, let me try doing it with Twinkle Twinkle Little Star. So if you don't do it well, it just sounds lost all of a sudden. Now let's hear Prokofiev do it. In this one, he changes from the key of E to E flat all of a sudden, and it has this crazy, unexpected effect. And yet it still works somehow. Today we're going to look at some of the music Prokofiev wrote for a ballet version of Romeo and Juliet. Now you're probably thinking, oh great, Romeo and Juliet, ballet music, sounds pretty boring. Let me get my iPhone out here. Hey, could you wake me when this is over? Thanks. False. That's what people say when they don't understand things. People say that about Shakespeare, too, and about classical music in general. If we're not careful, pretty soon we'll all be so hooked on iPhones and pop culture and technology in a fast-paced world that everything else will just seem boring. And we'll all say we don't have time to learn about some of the most fascinating accomplishments and works of art from humans. Anyway, actually, if anything, Prokofiev's Romeo and Juliet is very upbeat, energetic music, even to the average listener. The excerpt from the ballet we'll be listening to is called Montagues and Capulets. Those, of course, are the two different families in Romeo and Juliet. Hopefully you remember last time when we looked at sonata form. Paying attention to the form of a piece makes it a lot easier to figure out what's going on. This piece is roughly organized into ternary form, which means A, B, A. So it's similar to sonata form, which was also basically A, B, A, except ternary form is much simpler. It's really just A, B, A. The B section doesn't develop the beginning material. It's just its own B section. In the A sections, you'll hear a very strong, persistent pulse from the brass and lower strings. And then the violins come in on top of that with a forceful, jagged melody. Listen to all the leaps in the melody and how it adds tension. This strong, forceful character basically sums up the A section. When it's performed as a ballet, you see the Capulets dancing in a very slow and dignified way. Remember, the Capulets are a very strict household. The middle of the A section is interrupted when Juliet arrives at the ball. The music changes temporarily to a beautiful melody, and Prokofiev uses that geniusness again here to modulate unexpectedly in the middle of the melody. But the dance continues, so it goes back to the normal A section sound right after that. The B section provides a very calm contrast. This happens to be when Juliet is dancing with some guy. It's just her arranged suitor. The music still has a very clear pulse, but this time it's pizzicato in the strings combined with harp, not brass anymore. and the flute has a very simple melody, supported by the violins. Listen to the quality of calmness that he achieved with this combination of instruments. And then the A section returns when Juliet sees Romeo, but the theme comes back on a tenor saxophone. What? Not a normal orchestral instrument. Just another example of Prokofiev's quirkiness, or geniusness, if you will. Alright, now let's listen to the whole thing and witness all the drama and energy and unexpected changes and quirkiness that Prokofiev put into his music. And by the way, this is an excellent award-winning recording. It's a London Symphony conducted by Valery Gergiev. While you're listening to all those things in the music, you can also take note of Gergiev's unique dramatic conducting style, observe the intense leading and energy going on among the orchestra players, and listen to how perfect the phrasing is in all of the melodies. So there you have it. I hope you all enjoyed listening to all the unique and interesting aspects of Prokofiev's music. Well, that's a wrap. Should probably get some sleep before orchestra starts in about 3 hours. Oh wait, I forgot to practice today. Well, shoot. dy dx theta numbers sine